Welcome back. Today I've got another interview for you with one of our students in Northern California, Raymond, who is a serial entrepreneur, owns multiple businesses, used to fix and flip a lot himself, decided he wanted to try wholesaling, just didn't have any real training or really understanding on how to really get it done. That's why he came to Real Estate Skills, through a lot of trials and tribulations, finally closed his first wholesale deal for $28,000. Let's dive in and listen to his story. Hey, Raymond, how is it going? Glad to have you here with us.
I'm doing good. Good to see you, Pete.
You
Good to
too.
see you.
Yeah, I knew we'd do this eventually one day.
Right?
Yeah.
About time.
Yeah. So obviously we got a lot to talk about the deal. Obviously a really good deal you got done, your first wholesale deal. But
Mhm.
before we jump into things like that, always like to get a little bit of an introduction about who you are, what you used to do before this, what you're still doing now. So, kind of just give us a quick little intro of Raymond, where you coming from.
Well, okay, as you know, Peter, my my background is basically flipping houses.
Hmm.
Got into flipping houses and doing rehab on houses. And the last house that I did, I took kind of a beating on it.
Hmm.
So as I told myself I was going to ever do that again, I was going to do figure out the best way to get properties on the market, and that's why I signed up for real estate skills to be able to acquire houses wholesale. And as I got into it, I realized that it was something that I could actually make money off of without even flipping houses.
Hmm.
Um, so that being said, I was planning on doing both, but I decided to like really focus hard on doing wholesaling, and that's kind of what I've been doing for the last, well, as you know, for over a year.
Hmm.
And and actually, it's been long before that. Just studying it,
Hmm.
just studied real hard, figuring out the ins and outs and how to
Hmm.
work the system. Now, as far as my background,
Hmm.
believe it or not, Peter, my background is I've been a hair colorist for over 40 years.
Okay.
So I actually just sold the salon that I had, so
Hmm.
that way I could focus even more on on my real estate.
Hmm.
The other thing is I have an industrial racking company. It's got what we do is insulation of industrial racking, kind of the racking that you see at Costco.
Okay.
And also I have a golf club company called Pro Track Golf.
Hmm.
And Pro Track Golf is like a golf wedge that I invented, and we just recently got patented. So as you can see, I'm fairly entrepreneurial.
Yeah, you are.
How- However, um, real estate is kind of where I want to be, and that's kind of
Hmm.
why I focused on it. And I'm a very driven person. I'm just going to keep on doing it until I
Hmm.
succeed. And I think my feeling is that the vast majority of people that fail in business fail because they quit too soon, and
Yeah. I mean,
don't
that's a
wait to get those legs going.
Yeah, it's a good thing that you're well aware of that, and that's not an issue you deal with because you had to go through quite a few deals. I remember seeing you have to cancel a few, getting so close on a couple, which it hurts to see you get so close and then have to just cancel. But it happens to the best of us, and again, it's always better to cancel than to get stuck with something that's going to be a problem. But yeah, you definitely stuck with it. It's kind of like that picture I always like to share. There's that person who gives up, and they were just like two more, hacks away of getting to the diamonds, where the other one just keeps going, keeps going. Eventually, he's going to hit gold, and get those diamonds. So
Right.
you're definitely a testament to that. So really happy and really excited for you with this. Um, so you've always been interested in real estate. Obviously, you're an entrepreneur. What is it about real estate that you keep coming back to, and why you want it to be the one thing, basically, or at least the biggest part
I
of maybe
think
what you do?
Yeah, I think that it's as Alex would say, it's one of those type of business that's really always going to prosper and
Hmm.
do well. I understand there's their ups and downs,
Hmm.
but in wholesaling, I feel that it's although the last 6 months or so have been tough because of how the administration is,
Mhm.
and because of how the treasury has kept interest rates higher. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
I think there is highs and lows on that, and I
Mhm.
think there's been a lot of skittish
Mhm.
investors that are just kind of like holding off. But I think
Yeah.
actually right now, I think there is no better time to be in real estate right now than ever before. This is to me where fortunes are made,
Mhm.
and if you can get in right now, or at least convince your buyers that this is the time, this is,
Yeah.
it's like you're hitting it at the bottom of the market. I don't see the market going down much. I feel that if the market does happen to go down, it's going to be going down because of stuff that the administration does
Mhm.
to sabotage it. But I
Mhm.
feel that this administration is going to do everything it can to keep real estate in a good place. So
Mhm.
yeah, although it has been affected
Mhm.
by what the administration's doing, I think that this is a turning point right now, and that's kind
Mhm.
of how I feel about it. And I have rentals. I
Mhm.
have a couple. I actually have four rentals,
Okay.
but I'd like to build that portfolio. And what I found is like right now I'm in Missouri.
Mhm.
A lot of houses in Missouri, Pennsylvania. I was in
Mhm.
Texas. I was briefly in Florida, and it turns out a lot of those markets are changing. So
Mhm.
I think that might be a good time to get back into those markets.
Mhm.
But my point is, with the real estate acquisitions part of it, as I get into building cash flow, I plan on investing more in rentals. So like put money aside so that way I have rentals going. So I'm
Mhm.
building that real estate portfolio. As Alex said,
Yep.
it's like it's a systematic thing of building wealth, and by yes, doing flips, doing wholesaling, and also acquiring and just buy and hold. So that's
Yeah.
that's kind of my plan,
Yeah, it's kinda like what that saying we've all heard, when there's blood in the streets, that's the time to be buying,
right?
it's for investors, as we know, it's all about the price. It's all about the purchase price. And right now, but there's less competition. That's one of the best times to buy. You just gotta get buyers I'm sorry, the sellers to just understand that what they have is just not worth what they think it is. And that's always one of the challenges we'll always have, and it'll always probably be like that. It'll never change. And then, of course, like you're saying, there's so much in the air with economies and different administrations and just things pulling one way or the other. And where's it going to land? We don't know. Everything's kind of pointing towards prices are going to go up eventually at some point. We don't know. We don't know. But to investors, it almost doesn't matter. It just means we get deals at the price we need them, and we can always be making money this way. So, and there's lots of deals being done right now, and it's always a great time to be an investor. They always say, "When's the best time?" Yesterday, right? 20 years ago. But no, that's great
Well,
that you see that. So.
I'd say I'm persevering and just kind of keep on moving in the right direction. Right
Mhm.
now, I have a couple of properties right now. We're looking at JVing with,
Mhm.
so I have some buyers that I think might be interested. Actually, I had because I'm on another platform right now. If you're familiar with, called Investor Lift.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're on that as well. So it's helping to dispo our properties. I feel that it'll be a lot of help in doing that. And uh, I have a small team of people that I work with
Mhm.
that work under me, who basically do all the stuff for me. Pretty
Mhm.
much do all this stuff. As you met Jenny before. She
Mhm.
does all my MLS stuff,
Mhm.
and then we ran into an issue with MLS, and that we because I was kind of running out of cash flow,
Mhm.
and it's like deciding on how to do EMDs,
Mhm.
and EMDs are I, I I just couldn't come up with enough capital to be able to keep that going quite as fast. So
Yeah.
we're doing a little bit of MLS and off market deals. So that's
Hmm.
kind of in a nutshell. But I believe that MLS deals are just, I mean, they're easy, they're great.
Hmm.
I love them. You don't pay for them. You build great relationships with people. The only thing
Agents. Hmm.
that I find about that is that, that one Pleasant Hill property I had a Pleasant
Hmm.
Hill property, I had a Concord property. I couldn't dispo fast enough, and it was like, oh my gosh, it was just I felt so bad for the realtor who was on the hook on that, and
Hmm.
she's a good friend of mine's
Hmm.
acquaintance, and I just feel that I hope I didn't damage that relationship,
Yeah.
but I told her I'd make it up for her at some point in time. So
Yeah, at some point, we all have to realize, it's just business. Obviously, we're not trying to hurt anybody. That's never, ever what we want to do. We're never trying to, screw people over or be immoral or unethical. That's far from what we ever want to do. Just sometimes things just don't work out. And sometimes people take it personally. And, hopefully, people can just realize, hey, it's just business. We're not, uh, it could be a bigger problem, if again, like if we go through with some deals, it would be bad for everybody in a way. So, um, all right. So we've got, we touched a bit about where you've come from, why you're going into really want to stick with real estate. And I'm glad you'll have some rentals. So there's more, plans of getting more rentals in your portfolio.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I'd like to have at least 20, but actually, there's one investor that I'm working with right now. She has
Mhm.
like 400. That's just way too much to manage. I
I'm,
want
I'm,
I want something that's reasonable to manage.
mhm.
So
How many
I
do you
think
currently have right now?
four.
Four. You got four rentals.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And are these all
yeah.
in? Because you're in Northern California, so are they all in that area or
Yes,
the other? Okay,
yes, yes.
got it. Okay.
And it works out pretty well for me. Or it does, actually, it'll work out very well for me. But right now, being entrepreneurial, you're
Hmm.
leveraging cash flow, you're
Hmm.
leveraging your money, and that's kind of where I'm at
Yeah.
right now. And I see a lot of promise at the next year,
Hmm.
because of how far I'm into wholesaling with
Hmm.
real estate skills. You've been an enormous amount of help,
Hmm.
and real estate skills in general has just been very encouraging. And I like, well, I don't like the community. I love the community, but I just love the communal support that
Yeah.
you get from everybody. And I wish I could reach out to everybody that's congratulated me
Hmm.
on my this recent deal.
Hmm.
Um, but it's nice. It's nice because you feel like you have somebody to bounce off of. I think that for those people who just feel that this type of business is something that you just walk right into and just pick up everything that you have. There's a lot of experience that goes into getting somewhere in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that actually leads me into my question was, I'm sure you looked at every other, potential education company out there. What made you decide to, go with real estate skills above everyone else?
I knew I wanted to get into like off market deals
Hmm.
without a doubt. But when I discovered MLS deals, it was like kind of a game changer. It was like, oh my god, I could do this without having really spent that much money doing that.
Hmm.
Now, one of the things that I found is that although MLS, it's actually kind of fun for me because, like you're very much a people person, so it's
Hmm.
easy for you to like chat with people and
Yeah.
build rapport with people, and I think it's easier for people like you and I to be able to do that because there's not really much of a language barrier.
Hmm.
We speak English pretty clearly,
Hmm.
so it's pretty easy. We can
Hmm.
connect with people, and even if somebody is, I think if we were dealing with a lot of stuff in Los Angeles area, and there's a lot of Spanish speaking people over there, I mean,
Mhm.
I think that people that speak Spanish that can that are in MLS, real estate skills should be the ones that connecting with those people because
Mhm.
they would do extremely well. Or let's say anybody that's
Mhm.
Asian or
Mhm.
wherever, but speaking English pretty well and to be able to connect with people makes it a
Mhm.
lot easier. And I found that have built a lot of great little relationships
Mhm.
with realtors who are willing to work with me, call me, hey, I got
Mhm.
this deal, and a lot of the deals that they're sending me are like stuff that I really don't want to have to get into that are like,
Yeah.
total tear downs or just stuff
Mhm.
that is just crap. I can't do
Mhm.
that, or in a bad area. I'm trying
Mhm.
to stay away from that. The other thing is that I think that with MLS, it's kind of nice if you pick like we're picking a niche of renters or buy and hold people. So with that, it's just a lot easier to dispo those because they're people that don't. You could have a higher, let's say, there's higher numbers on that. You can get to that 70% number and be okay.
Mhm.
Whereas there was a person that you send me on MLS who was looking at deals at 45%. It's like, on a condo deal. I mean, those are the people I typically stay away from. I don't want to work that hard. I'm trying to, but from being in this business, I'm trying to find out faster, easier ways to get things and to get them dispoed and not to work harder and, on both ends,
Mhm.
uh, so, that's kind of why I felt that real estate MLS program was awesome. It's
Mhm.
just great, and also having the one on one support or the
Mhm.
type of support that you offer your students. I
Yeah.
think a lot of them just need to really pay attention and just learn from experience. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, and having us there basically, I can't say we hold your hand every step of the way, but in the way we kind of do at the same time too. We can't do your homework for you. I mean, and really you wouldn't want us to. You need to kind of be able to be independent and do your own business. It's your own business, but we're right there with you, looking at contracts with you, calling cash buyers if you bring the deal to us and you want our help with it, reviewing the deals ahead of time, doing whatever we can because we just want you all to win. That's basically it. Whatever we can do to help, we're willing to do that. Ryan's called agents for students before on, because they were getting some pushback that just wasn't making sense. And you're just, oh yeah, we're just partners. Yeah. So what's the problem? Oh, this. Oh yeah, we can just do this. Boom, done. Okay. And um, sometimes that's all it takes. And having someone on your side to do those things is, like you said, it's a game changer. So we're more than happy to put in that effort for everyone else who's putting in the effort as well, which you definitely have, and you're definitely a prime example of that. So, I mean, you show us you're bringing in employees, right off the bat, but you have that experience from the past of fixing and flipping so you already know, like
Well,
building a team, helps a great deal, especially when you've got other businesses and things like that.
and that is exactly why I did that. I did
Hmm.
that because and I sold my salon because I can't. I'm getting pulled in too many
Too many
different
places.
places.
Hmm.
So I just really want to focus mainly on real estate. Now I'm still a colorist. I
Yeah.
still have a full schedule. So it's like, but I just don't have to manage the salon behind it.
Right.
So, but being in this business, I started out as a in this in hair as a really shy guy,
Hmm.
and obviously I'm not so shy. I could talk to and get into anybody's space that I need to get in front of.
Hmm.
So, and I think that's part of it. It's like a lot of your students. I mean, they need that are kind of on that shy side. Just need to. I think you could train anybody to become more personable and build that nice connection with people that are selling their homes or realtors that are
Hmm.
selling clients' houses. That's what it takes. Am I correct?
It absolutely is. I mean, we can all be a certain person. I was a very shy person before, myself, but I knew I had to do things to get myself out of that shell. So I remember one of my first jobs was being like a doorman and valet, so that I had to greet people all the time, and that helped. And then my background was in music, so I had to get up on stage and perform. Mr. Shy Guy had to get up there and perform. But I think I say this a lot even to students. I think sometimes you're drawn to this not just to make a change in your life for your family and the money, but there's probably something else that's kind of like tickling you, that says like you need to make a change to grow yourself as well. Like the money and stuff could almost be a byproduct of who you're actually building. And I say it all the time, you are your business. Because if you don't show up for your business, nothing's going to happen. If your family's future requires you to be this person, which isn't saying that you can't be yourself, you can still be yourself. You're just actually uncovering a different layer of yourself, you could say. And then at that point you become that other person that's more sociable. And it's not a negative, it's actually a positive. It actually helps you connect with people. It actually helps you not help yourself and your family, but it helps you help other people as well too. So it's just
Yeah.
good all the way around, all the way around.
Well, I think my family knows how I am, because it's like, I mean, and probably I would think that somebody as personable as you
Hmm.
know, you go to sit down at a restaurant, and you're like, "How's your day going?" You
Hmm.
know, and you kind of try to connect with the person that's serving you to
Hmm.
hopefully get better service out of them,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I do. And my family
Hmm.
just says, "Don't say anything." You know, come on, I just don't want. I don't want to know their life story, and it's just like, well, that's how you. That's kind of how we are. But I do have to say that I think a lot of your students that I
Hmm.
you work with, you know, you can't be transactional.
Hmm.
You
Right.
have to build that rapport and then get into the transaction. It's just like you got to be able to connect with people and build that rapport. That's how you're
Uh-huh.
going to get people eating out of your hand. You know, right?
It's
And bringing
true.
deals to you, and coming to you first to get deals done.
Yeah, you have to, again, it's a lot about trust. We kind of touched on it earlier on this interview. Is you're dealing with people's money, or you're dealing with people's homes. It depends who you're talking about. If you're talking about cash buyers, if you're talking about sellers, but trust is a really big part. I remember the first two deals I did were meeting the agent in person, and they got a good feel of who I was, that they felt comfortable moving forward with me. A lot of more often than not, it's because someone feels comfortable working with you, or they'll work with you even if your offer is less than some of the other offers, because they feel that they can trust you. There's the old saying, people want to do business with people they like, right? So
Oh yeah,
how can you be a likable person? How can you show that you're interested in them? These are all, things that the next level of sales and just growing your business, how to connect with people. Because, and it doesn't mean it's, like you say, transactional or it's not genuine. You want to connect with people because you want to have a good time doing this, and
absolutely.
you want to go to bed sleeping fine, knowing that you're not doing anything bad to anyone. You're not just trying to be transactional and stuff like that. These are clients. We always see cash buyers, sellers, anyone we work with, more like clients as opposed to just customers. So it's more, it does take more work to show that
Hmm.
trust. And some people are just afraid to do it. Some people just don't want to do it because, again, a lot of it, it's usually just fear, I think. And or they're just like, I need the money, I need the money, I need the money. But that's the part where we have to learn, like, it's more than just that. You're building a business in your community, so that'll speak volumes if you want this to last for a long time.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that it's a lot of hard work and just sticking with the system, getting better and better and better at it to a
Hmm.
point where you're just great at it.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I think that when I train my team real estate skills. So it's like,
Hmm.
and a lot of it has to do with building that rapport. I have a person that acquires properties for me. See, between Jenny and this other person, oh my God, they're just amazing.
Mhm.
It's like me being right there,
Mhm.
and the thing about where I am, probably like how you are, you meet realtors in person. I meet
Mhm.
realtors and connect with them, but also because of my background,
Mhm.
knowing enough about, I'm at a builder level,
Yeah.
knowing that pretty much everything there is to know about most how to build a house.
Right.
It's easy for me to sound pretty educated going into a house, viewing a
Mhm.
house, and pointing out things that need to be pointed out. Whereas even my acquisition people, they
Mhm.
don't know enough of it. Their background isn't with construction, so that they're not always able to, or asking always the right questions. And I think that that's kind of where your educate I think that could be a subset of what you do, is do kind of an educational thing on basically things to ask, like how's the sewer, how's the structure, the structural, is there any structural issue
Yeah.
with the house, roofing,
Mhm.
plumbing, all that stuff. Knowing every little in and out when you're trying to give somebody an accurate assessment of what you
Mhm.
could bid on a house. But that your people need to know that. People in
Mhm.
real estate skills need to know enough how to ask the right questions, because
Yep.
it's
Mhm.
essentially tearing down the value of the house. Because
Mhm.
when my people are asking that, even if it's a realtor, it's like, how's the structure doing, and they'll go over that. Okay,
Mhm.
so that's about 20,000 just in structural stuff. Okay, in the kitchen, we know that needs to be redone.
Mhm.
That's another 15 to 20,000. It's like it's taking that price down and down, so that way they feel good about, hey, look, we already know that there's $150,000 that we have on improvements just to get
Yeah.
it to market value. So I think that our students need to know that, this,
Mhm.
how to negotiate that way. And
Mhm.
I think that there's a lot of material on real estate skills, but I think it could be like what we're doing here.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that's why those Q&A calls are great, and having you jump on there and we do deal reviews and you get to hear everyone else's. It's always I think it's a great atmosphere when we kind of get together and kind of a meeting of the minds that way. I always think it's great. So let's jump in real quick to this deal. So this was something you found on market. Tell me about how you found it, how you acquired it, and how you lined up the buyer. Give me a little bit about that.
So we acquired it through a local realtor in that area,
Okay.
and it was actually the way we required it is it was an off market deal that came to us through a realtor.
Okay.
That's
Hmm.
what it was. So
Yeah.
it wasn't an MLS. It wasn't. It was to be listed on MLS through this realtor, but she turned us on to it,
How did
and
you
I
meet this
had my
realtor?
through MLS in that area.
Okay. So it was still,
It's in that.
in a way, still
Yeah.
through MLS. Yeah, that's usually what happens with you make the connections on market and then it can lead to off market. Yeah, happens all the
Yes,
time.
that's exactly what happened.
Hmm.
So not only did we do that, but she also turned us on to a couple of other houses that were off
Hmm.
market.
Hmm.
So it was like, okay, so I have this other couple of houses that I have a client that would like to
Hmm.
get rid of. So it's like, so that's kind of how it all started. So what I did is I put one of my acquisitions people on it, and we ended up acquiring this particular house, I think, at
Okay.
182,000. That was
Okay.
an agreed acquisitions price.
How much
And
repairs was it going to need? What was your
I
estimate for
don't do,
repairs?
I really, I really don't necessarily do that. I
Okay.
think the ARV on that house was about 280.
280 and you got
So
it
I
for
figured,
182. Okay.
yeah. So I figured that I had enough on it to be able to do something with it. It looked like it just needed to be painted and
Hmm.
kind of cleaned up, but it didn't. but as far as like doing you know, repair values on that. Everybody has different repair values.
Yeah.
Like if I get my team on it, they'll probably whip it out in less than half, probably like two-thirds of what most people
Mhm.
are bidding on houses because
Yeah.
I had them systematically go through a house. My team works 7 days a week.
Mhm.
So if they're working 7 days a week, obviously I'm in and out of there pretty quick.
Right. Mhm.
So and I'm scheduling it where the landscaping's going on when somebody's painting the inside of the house or doing
Mhm.
floor. Everybody's like,
Mhm.
a
Not
person's
getting in
in
each
this
other's
room.
way. Yeah, no one's getting
Yeah,
in each other's way. Yeah. But
yeah.
getting done at the same
But
time.
yeah, so that's why I don't get too hard into that.
Okay.
Yes, I do calculate, basically, get a good idea of what the rehab would be on it. Just
Sure.
from looking at the
Mhm.
house, I could go like give you a quick guesstimate. And you know what? That's from you guys helping me with that. It's like
Mhm.
giving me, good numbers to work with that can kind of give you a ballpark of where you need to
Mhm.
be at.
Yep.
And then and truthfully, it's like, you put it out there to people, and it's like, I let them decide how much they think they're gonna spend.
Mhm.
If somebody says, hey, look, like on this deal, had that person said to me, it's like, look, I got X amount of dollars for rehab in it. I need to be able to acquire this house at let's say 190. Then I said, well, then I'm going to have to go back to the person selling the house and
Mhm.
renegotiate a price reduction
Right.
to get me my number, right?
Mhm.
So anyway, that's kind of how it happened. But the way this happened is that we put it out to all our cash buyers in the area,
Mhm.
and somebody spotted it. A JV partner spotted it and said, "Hey, I got a buyer in that area that could that's willing to pick it up for you."
Okay.
So I said, so that's kind of where we started negotiating. He's like, I asked him. I said, "Well, this is how our JV partner agreements work.
Mhm.
We got a certain number I want to get out of a deal.
Mhm.
Anything beyond that, I mean, if you want to mark it up, however you want to mark it up." Like I said, but this is how we work it.
Mhm.
Anyway, so we gave him a number because we knew that we could probably get 210 for it.
Okay.
But I just told I I'm not exactly. I think it was like we agreed to come out of it at 205. So he got five. So to list it at two, we gave it to him at 205. He
Mhm.
listed at 210 and got somebody to pick it up at 210.
Got it.
200,
Okay.
which meant that we got, believe we got 23,000 on it.
Mhm.
So, well, we got a total of 28,000, but I had to
20
pay
his part, yeah.
5,000 for the JV partner.
Mhm.
But I think that's the way. Really, that's kind of the way it should go. I mean, this whole business of people splitting it 50-50 is not necessarily. I'm not sure that that's the way to go. What do you think?
I mean, that's pretty industry standard to fix, to do it 50-50. I mean, you kind of look at it also. I always like to compare it to look at just a regular transaction with a listing agent and a buyer's agent. Typically, they could sometimes give the buyer's agent sometimes more commission because if they're having a trouble selling it, they're like, please, like, we'll give you more money if you bring us a buyer, kind of thing. Sometimes listing agents, they'll do work deals out. Okay, I'll take 2.5, but we got to give them 3% because we really need a buyer for this. We need to move quick. We want to really incentivize. Because the thing is, it's usually a 50-50 because you don't have anything without the other. It's kind of like you if you don't have a contract, the buyer's no good. But if you have the contract with no buyer, well, then what's the point of the contract if you have no buyer for it? So I definitely see how 50-50 is fair. Now, I guess it can depend on the quality of the buyer or how fast they can move or who your partner is. I mean, in the end, everything is negotiable. So if you negotiate that and they're okay with it, then that's business. That's how it
Well,
works. So
I think that. on most wholesale deals, you're I think a lot of people are happy to get a $10,000 assignment fee
Hmm.
on that. Well, if you're a solid negotiator and you can negotiate it
Hmm.
pretty low, that wasn't even our max offer on that.
Yeah.
Our max offer on that property was probably about ten to $15,000 more than that. So we picked it up pretty good price. So should we? We're the ones that are doing all the work. We're setting up the
Hmm.
title company. We're working with the
Hmm.
seller. We're working with the buyer, all that stuff. And it's like I think we're doing the all the work. And the guy that sent us the JV partner is just sitting
Hmm.
there waiting for his money to roll in.
Yeah, no, I can see that's part of it too. I again, like I always think of it like from the agent's point of view too. A listing agent markets the property, gets the listing agreement, gets the photos taken care of, make sure everything looks if they're doing a proper job as an agent, getting it online, getting it in, blasting it out maybe to neighbors, doing open houses, marketing the property, doing whatever they can to try to sell it because they're doing all the work. And then here comes a buyer's agent, just brings the buyer and they close. But if they didn't have that buyer, then that agent would not make any money. They would have done all that work and got nothing. Like the last thing an agent would want is for their contract to expire, their listing agreement to expire. Same thing with when we have a property under contract. The last thing we want to do is to have to cancel it unless it's better that we cancel it because we find out our numbers were wrong. But I see both sides of it. And in the end, like you say, it's you negotiate for it. If you got better negotiating powers than someone else, then that's just the name of the game, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
You get what you negotiate for, right? That
Absolutely. I
in
mean,
life in general, right?
yeah, it's not like, okay, so let's say if the person said, the JV partner said, hey, let's say I told them we can get them to 210, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we went, is there anything wrong with, we agreed to that. And we agreed that he'd get, let's say instead of 5,000, 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I just go to my acquisitions, or I go back to the person selling the home, to the MLS, to the realtor, and say, hey, you know what? During our inspection, we discovered this, and
Mm-hmm.
this. I'd like to get a price reduction on this, and we happen to get one.
Yeah.
This has happened on multiple deals,
Mm-hmm.
like multiple. Like I didn't, like on this one deal, I didn't realize the AC unit was so bad; it needed to be replaced. I got like a $15,000 reduction on that, on this, from
Mm-hmm.
the realtor, just from asking. It didn't hurt to
Yeah.
ask. So
Not at
now
all.
I could still give that person his $10,000, but I'm making it up on the other side. So I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Negotiating and getting better at being creative with negotiating is good. But I think that the idea of splitting it 50-50 on something that's like beyond, let's say, five to $10,000 can be kind of unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think so?
Again, it depends on a case by case basis, in my opinion. I've always kind of been just split 50-50 because I just want to keep doing deals. But I mean, on certain things, yeah, I don't want to split 50-50. It depends on what role did the other person play. I think that's the most important part is what role did that other person play. Is if it was something like, there's plenty of other buyers, I could have gone with someone else, but stayed with this longer and it would have maybe cost me more money. If that's the case, then you kind of just pick and choose your battles. A lot of times I was just kind of, a lot of mentors that I worked with were just like, find a buyer, get rid of it, and move on to the next one. Like just keep
I
moving, just
agree.
keep moving, just keep
I totally
moving.
agree.
Like there's a point where you can try to just try to haggle for an extra couple $1,000, where maybe that might leave a bad taste in the mouth of the person you're working with, that then that could have meant tens of thousands of dollars more, but now they don't want to work with you because maybe they felt you're trying to just haggle them too much. Again, who knows it, but in the
Well,
end, whatever you negotiate for, And I again, as long as I think you're doing it ethically, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. If everyone's in
Well, it
accordance with
isn't.
it, then it's fine. You know.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel that. I felt that
Hmm.
it was an agreement that the JV partner and I came to. I
Hmm.
said, would it be okay if we pay you $5,000 on this deal, just
Hmm.
for the? And it's like yes or no.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, if he said no, you need to pay me 10,000, then I'd say, let me think about it. Are you sure
Hmm.
you can't? We can't get to, let's say, 7,500. You
Yep.
know, that's kind of where I'd be, and that's kind of where it was at. You
Just
know,
like you
so we
said, it.
negotiated in good faith, and he was okay. He was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel happy with that.
Yeah,
So
just
there
like you
you go.
said, it doesn't hurt to ask. You know, you get reductions just by asking. You could have not asked, but now you just made a better deal for your cash buyer, and now it gives you a
Right,
little bit more flexibility to even maybe pay someone even more for the your JV partner,
right.
or for you, and then you have employees. You know, you have to think about all those things. Yeah, in
I
the
think
end,
that's it.
yeah, just
Yeah,
negotiating and just asking the question and going from there.
yeah. I think that if it were just solely me and no employees, I'd
Hmm.
probably think about a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
But it isn't. I have to think about having to pay people.
Hmm.
So
No, it
and
makes
that
makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
And in the end,
yeah,
it's your business, and you have to run it. Which what's going to work for you and your business. Lots of cash buyers run their businesses differently because of their business structure. Do they have an acquisitions team and a dispositions team? Do they have office people? Like everyone's setup could be different. So um, everyone's requirements
right.
and criteria will be different.
So,
So
so one of the
yeah.
things that I mentioned in a post is we had so with that JV partner
Hmm.
connection,
Hmm.
we found for one thing the person that he found
Hmm.
thought the guy was weird, unfortunately, but it was like, and I didn't tear the guy down or anything. I'd say I could see where you might say that. He's a nice guy, whatever. But it's like, but now you're dealing with us, and we'll make sure that it's a smooth transaction.
Hmm.
So that actually, I think, is going to open the floodgates with this type of person. That she says she's picking up a lot of houses in any given
Hmm.
year. So it's like, we're going to be like, your predecessor who just found somebody that could do, that has, is willing to pick up all these houses
Hmm.
on a regular basis. So I need 10 of those. So I'm going to keep on looking until I find 10 of those
Hmm.
because it'll be, and that's how I get to my numbers,
Hmm.
because I have a certain goal of where I want to be. You got to start somewhere,
Yep,
and 1 in 10, and even if I'm half wrong and they get five of those, I'd still be doing pretty well, right?
that's right. You know, you shoot for the stars and hit the moon. Still good. You're still in outer
Yeah,
space, right? Right.
right.
Awesome.
So that
So, yeah, go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, no, that's kind of where I'm at. I have a clear idea where I'd like to be,
Hmm.
and I'm not going to stop until I get there. And even when I
Okay.
do get there, I'm sure,
Hmm.
all what it's going to turn out to be is like
Hmm.
me being able to pick up as many rentals as I can,
Hmm.
to build that, uh, you know, uh, generational wealth.
Yeah.
To
Hmm.
be able to like pass it on to my children and do pretty well.
Awesome. Yeah. So, just let's. I wanted to make sure for this property, it didn't cost you anything to get the lead, right? Because it was a referral
No.
from the agent.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think you probably did. You put up the earnest money deposit to
No.
keep the no, you didn't even have to do that. Awesome. So basically there was no out of pocket, or do you pay your employees by the deal, or is it like an hourly thing? So people always wonder, like, what did it cost for you to get this deal? Because that's a lot of question
Um,
a lot of people always have. So
it cost me $10,000 to get this
okay.
deal.
Okay.
So out of that 28, I got 18 out of it.
Okay. So what
So
was the 10,000 that you spent, what, out of pocket?
It was for my employees, their
Okay.
wages.
Okay.
Yep,
Got it.
yep.
Got it. Okay.
So what I did is I have so I think I don't know if you're aware of this, but I have VAs in the Philippines
I
that
think you
do all
mentioned
my
that. Mhm.
do a lot of my negotiations.
Mhm.
Their wages are like so like less than here. You know,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
you could find VAs for like $5 an hour, $3 an hour.
Yep.
There,
Mhm.
I wouldn't. You know, that's probably not really good VAs, but
Mhm.
I get one that's to get one that's good, pretty well trained.
Mhm.
Probably about $7 to $8 an hour. You know,
Mhm.
which for my time is worth it.
Yeah.
So, but what I did is, as we were, we're questioning whether or not we can get EMDs laid out,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to necessarily risk losing my staff.
Mhm.
They agreed to work on commission. So that's
Mm.
kind of where we're at right now.
Got it.
So I
Okay.
would think that with commission now we're going to get ramped up because
Right.
everybody needs to eat.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be a
So
little bit
that's kind
more
of where we're at.
yeah, a little bit
More motivated.
more of a motivation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
S- Cool.
So
So, what was the last things I wanted to ask before we wrap this up? Were so we kind of already know where you're planning on going. You want to do some rentals. You already have a couple rentals, but you want to build more of that portfolio, rental portfolio. So that's where Raymond's moving into the future. What about like right now? You still want to? Are you still focused on doing a lot of wholesale deals? Are you trying to do some fix and flips again soon, or you just want to do wholesales and then just get into portfolios right now? Into
I'm going to
portfolio.
wait until the beginning of the year to start getting into fix and flip.
Okay.
Um, I'd like to do fix and flip out where I live so that way I can manage it
Mm-hmm.
easier.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a fix and flip in Austin that just we were having issues with the financing part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm being entrepreneurial, I'm balancing having my VAs work for me versus
Mm-hmm.
stopping that and then working on this flip. I chose
Mm-hmm.
to stick with real estate wholesaling, so I put that on hold.
Mm-hmm.
And as I acquire more capital, I'll get back into doing real estate flips. But I'm the kind of what I'm sure that Alex and Ryan and you are doing. It's like you get to a point where you just want to do cherry pick what the properties you want to acquire. I don't want to do properties that require massive work. I
Right.
want something that's I don't want to work beyond 10 weeks on a project. Maybe 12 weeks, but like really 10 weeks is the max I want to be on any one project. And with the crew that I have, they could
Mm-hmm.
get projects done pretty quick. So I
Yeah.
could get in and out in like 6 weeks. So that's
Yeah.
that's how you make money in flipping. You
Mm-hmm.
don't make money by sitting on there waiting for permits from cities and counties, and
Mm-hmm.
now it's like diminishing all your profits.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I'm at, and I don't mind paying more and making maybe a little bit less, but being in and out of there as quickly as possible.
Well,
Yeah.
what advice would you give someone who's thinking about joining, and then anybody, just in general, advice thinking of getting into real estate to begin with? Kind of your moment to just
My
share your thoughts and your
I think
experience.
I think all the material that the real estate skills has, if you listen to it and do and follow it over and over and just use a practical application of it, you're going to do well. It just takes it takes time to get that skill going. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, just like playing golf, you don't just get in there and pick up a club and you're hitting it straight.
Right.
You got to take practice. It takes practice and practice and practice until it starts clicking. And when it starts clicking, it's like right now, for me, it just feels like it's starting to click, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna be off to the races. I know we are.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you got to stick with it. So, but the material you have is just like fantastic, and it's for what you charge for it is I think is affordable. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that are in this business at a high level spend like tens of thousands of dollars on education,
Hmm.
and that's not
Hmm.
really that much money to spend on the type of education that you offer,
Hmm.
but you have to be practical, use it. You got to listen to it. You got to
Hmm.
apply it. You can't
Hmm.
just have it sitting around and without any use. But that's the vast majority of people that buy classes never even go through the whole thing. I have many a times.
Yeah.
I did, and how I did it
Uh-huh.
is, I work out. So I
Hmm.
put my headphones on. I listen to a program every workout. How many times do I have
Hmm.
to do that? I do it over and
Hmm.
over and over again.
Yep.
And then I pick out the ones that I really am weak at and just listen to it over and over again until I get it.
Just consistency and
Yeah.
a dedication, and making that decision and sticking with it. It made me think of, you mentioned working out, like how many people get gym memberships but don't go. you know
Right. And this is a good time to do it, right?
right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
All
Raymond,
righty.
I'm glad we got a chance to do this. I'm sure we'll be doing this again soon.
I
Looking
hope
forward.
so.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one as you refine the process even more. And if you're looking at more properties to add to your portfolio, I mean, we're here for you. Ryan is open to having chats and offering. He's already connected one student with his first. I think he's picking up his second buy and hold. I think this next month or so, and that's part of your what you paid for, is having a call with Ryan about things like this. So if that's I mention this to a lot of people who I think could get to that goal faster than maybe what they think. A lot of people think, well, I have to do like 10 wholesale deals before I buy my next rental or whatever, and like, you already have four. But if you want to get more and more, which is what you want, you might be able to get there a lot sooner, with the right network and connections.
But it's funny you say that because I thought about that. It's like, why didn't it would have been nice to just use the real estate skills, people on real estate skills to pick up and just, I'm the buyer.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I could have just said, hey, does anybody have any properties in this area I'd
Mm-hmm.
like to buy, wholesale, and,
Yeah.
have them work for me. It would have just been a lot easier because,
Mm-hmm.
look, I have the skill of flipping houses pretty quickly. It would be not,
Mm-hmm.
I could make money off of that fairly easy, but
Mm-hmm.
with this business, you really got to learn it.
It's a
It
good
just
skill.
takes a little bit of time.
It's a very good skill to have for all
Yes.
things. For finding deals, it'll help you with everything. So,
Yeah.
all right, Raymond.
Well,
Well, it was a
thank
pleasure. Glad you were
it's
able to make it.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. You got my number. You call me anytime.
All right, Raymond. We'll do,
And tell
man.
Ryan to do the same.
All right, we'll
Okay.
do. All
All
right.
right.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
Raymond. Take care.
Take care.
Bye. And there you have it. As you can see in Raymond's case, he comes from a long history of just running businesses. So he approached this much more like it's the way a CEO would run a business, had employees helping him out, had certain tools in place. He really went above and beyond to try to build a business that could work for him while he works also on his other businesses as well. Even though you heard he has sold one of his businesses so he could focus more on this because he sees the potential in this now. He knows the fix and flip game. Now he knows the wholesaling game. So I'm sure his next wholesale deal is right around the other corner. I think he just told me he's got another deal on the contract right now. So we'll be taking a look at that with him soon. But as you can see, if you apply yourself, if you stick with it, you heard he went through lots of offers, got really close so many times, and we were right there with him trying to push those across the line. Just sometimes deals are not going to work, or you need a little bit more time, and sometimes sellers are just not having it, right? But he persisted. He knows in business, it's all about your mindset. It's all about your commitment. And that was never in question with Raymond. He knows the commitment level he needs to have. He knows the consistency and the discipline. And Raymond's not going anywhere. He's definitely going to be one of our best students, bringing in more and more deals, showing everyone what can be done when you really apply yourself and really treat this as a real business. So if you're interested in learning more about the real estate skills community, head on over to realestateskills.com, send us an email, send us a message, and we'll get in touch with you and have a chat. All right, until next time, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.